Hello, curious minds. Welcome to the premiere episode of The All-Knowing Owl. Today, we begin a journey to uncover the hidden mysteries of our planet and the delicate science that holds it all in balance. Because sometimes the most fascinating truths are hidden in plain sight. For example, here in the vastness of the Pacific lie two islands. They are neighbors, separated by just 2 nautical miles, a distance so small you could almost shout across it. In the timeline of our world, they live a world apart. When it is Saturday on Little Diomede, it is already Sunday on Big Diomede. They are quite literally in different days. How is this possible? The answer lies in the invisible lines we have drawn to measure our world. Let's start with time zones. As our planet rotates, the sun appears to rise in the east and set in the west. But when it's noon for you, it's midnight for someone else. To bring order to this, we divided the globe into 24 time zones, one for each hour of the day, and this is the international date line, the reset button for the calendar. Cross it from the west and you jump a day forward. Cross it from the east and you travel back in time to yesterday. To understand where to draw this line, we first had to slice the earth like a pie. We created 360 degrees of longitude, imaginary lines running from pole to pole. Each degree represents a specific location on our east-west journey around the planet. And here is the beautiful connection. Our planet takes 24 hours to complete one full rotation of 360 degrees. Do the math. 360 divided by 24, and you get 15. This means the Earth rotates 15 degrees of longitude every single hour. Now back to that short journey between our two islands. We measure it in nautical miles. Unlike a mile on land, a nautical mile is defined as 1 minute of latitude, which is itself 1/60th of a degree. This wasn't an arbitrary choice. It tied the measurement of distance directly to the geometry of the Earth itself. And this system of coordinates doesn't just guide us on the sea, it helps us map the heavens. Because the entire celestial sphere, from the sun to the distant stars, appears to us to move from east to west, just as the sun does every day. Which leads us to a profound thought. Long before we had this precise grid of lines and numbers, the first great navigators understood this. They looked to the sky, they understood the rhythms of the ocean, and they connected the dots. They didn't need a clock to know the time or a GPS to know the way. They saw the connection between the islands, the stars, and the sun. They understood the balance. These two islands, so close yet so unique, are a lesson in separation and connection. They are a border dividing not just days, but continents and superpowers. For centuries, we've mapped them, claimed them, and written their political histories of conflict, of attempted agreements. But the truest story of this place isn't written in treaties. It's written in the people and the passage of time itself. Long before they were Big Diomede and Little Diomede, these lands were home to the Inupiat people. They knew these islands as Imaklik, a place of deep significance. This strait was not a border to them. It was a bridge, a passageway for trade, for family, for survival. They were the original masters of this navigation, reading the stars, the winds, and the ice with a wisdom we are only now relearning. This, the Bering Strait, is one of the most profound seams on our planet. A shallow, icy bridge that during ancient ice ages was a vast land passage, Beringia. It was across this very passage that the first people journeyed into the Americas, a migration that would shape human history forever. This poetic dance between time and travel has captivated storytellers for generations. The Italian novelist and philosopher Umberto Eco, in his masterpiece, The Island of the Day Before, captured its magic perfectly. It is midnight on Friday here on the ship. It is midnight on Thursday on the island. If you travel from America to Asia, you lose a day. If you travel in the opposite direction, you gain a day. And that is why the ship Daphne took the route to Asia, and you, stupid ones, the route to America. You are now a day older than I. Is it not amusing? This quest for a passage, a faster route to the riches of Asia, is what drove explorers like Marco Polo. His legendary travels fueled Europe's imagination and set in motion the age of exploration that would eventually map every corner of the globe, including our two little islands. And the story of connection is not over. Today, engineers and visionaries dream of closing this circle. Proposals exist for a Bering Strait tunnel, a submersed train line that would physically link Asia and North America for the first time in millennia. From the ancient footsteps across Beringia, to the sacred kayaks of the Inupiat, to the sailing ships of explorers, and now to the dreams of a tunnel, this narrow passage has always called to us. It is a place that whispers of both division and the unbreakable human urge to connect. All these facts lead us to a single, profound understanding. The paths that connect us are like these narrow straits, seemingly small on a map, yet wide and deep in their meaning. But what if we dare to look through a different lens? One that is slightly less conservative, a lens that believes in the extraordinary power of ancient peoples and the strength of their communities that stretched across generations. Let's consider a hypothesis. The same stars that guided the Inupiat and the Polynesians, could they have guided travelers much, much earlier? What if this bridge between continents was not just a temporary path, but a thriving, well-traveled world for far longer than we ever imagined? Consider technology. For centuries, European square sails pushed ships with the wind. But in the Indian Ocean and the Pacific, the lateen sail, a triangular marvel of aerodynamics, had been perfected. It allowed sailors to navigate against the wind, opening up possibilities that conservative history often overlooks. Now, layer in the ocean itself. The Pacific is not a random chaos. It has highways, vast circulating currents, and predictable wind patterns like the trade winds. A vessel, whether by intention or accident caught in these flows, could journey incredible distances. Guided by the sun by day and by the unerring positions of stars like Polaris and the Southern Cross by night, these voyages were not just possible. They were a part of mastering the sea. And then we look at the people. Scattered across the coasts of the Pacific, from the islands of Southeast Asia to the shores of Latin America, we find echoes. Cultural similarities that are haunting, complex weaving patterns, mythological stories of great floods and rabbit moons, shared musical instruments, and a profound common worldview, one of deep respect for nature and a tranquil, faithful soul. Are these mere coincidences or the faint, ancient fingerprints of connection? For a long time, a principle in archaeology has been what some call the silence of the Atlantic. The idea that Before the European age of exploration, the vast Atlantic was a true barrier, a silent, uncrossed moat between the Old World and the New. And the evidence largely supports this. We find no ancient Roman coins in Brazil, no pre-Columbian maize in Africa. But the Pacific is different. It is not a moat. It is a stage dotted with thousands of islands, each one a potential stepping stone. A stage with predictable currents and winds. A stage where the cultural echoes are not silent. They are whispering to us from the jungles and the shores. If the Atlantic was silent, perhaps it's because the Pacific was already speaking. And if we listen closely, its story may be much, much older than we ever believed. This isn't just a gap in the map. It's a gap in our understanding, and it's precisely there, in that gap, that the most thrilling mysteries await. This isn't just wild speculation. Archaeologists like Brazil's own Eduardo Goes Neves have been radically rewriting the history of the Amazon. Through their work, we now know that the Amazon has been a center of complex societies and vast cultural exchanges for at least 10,000 years. If such deep, interconnected histories existed in the Amazon, is it so hard to imagine that the Pacific, this great blue heart of our planet, might also have its own, even older stories of exchange? Stories that reach back not 10, but perhaps 20,000 years. The evidence is not yet concrete, but the possibility is a door we are only just beginning to open. These potential links between ancient times, these cultural exchanges, they are the roots of a great tree, long before we ever started drawing lines on maps or counting the hours. They remind us that our world has always been connected in ways we are still learning to see, that the journey to understand the mysteries of heaven and earth begins with a single curious step, and that the greatest discoveries often lie not in the answers, but in the questions we dare to ask. That's the journey for today, wise fellas. If this sparked your curiosity, subscribe to follow us as we continue to connect the dots of our fascinating world. Let us know in the comments what ancient connection fascinates you the most.